I'm not the perfect writer. I say this partially to save my own ass whenever the inevitable viewer points out the fact that I'm a hypocrite. It's gonna happen. Up until recently, I've been writing dialogue wrong. Despite reading books like A Druggie Shoots Heroin, I've been punctuating dialogue wrong, and I was never corrected throughout middle school and high school. Hell, even into college. I'll be sure to direct anyone to this video whenever they feel the need to post, "But I read your stuff and you got this wrong." Yes, I'm not perfect. As we speak, I'm currently combing through my online story and correcting all of the punctuation issues in the dialogue. But, because I'm an American, hypocrisy just comes naturally to me, so let's make fun of another author, shall we? Demon Seed is written by Dean Koontz. Now, it isn't the first iteration of this story. It was initially published in 1972, but due to the fact that technology has evolved, it was rewritten in 1997. I have yet to read the original, though I plan to do so later in the year. That doesn't change the fact that the 1997 edition of Demon Seed is cancer wrapped in a migraine tied together with bullshit. The biggest issue with this novel, quotations, is how it's written. Obviously. There's a severe over-reliance on repetitive word usage. I'm sure Koontz meant it as a way to set the mood. And, considering the main character is a deranged artificial intelligence, an AI that takes over some woman's house, I can see why he did it, but it comes across as incompetent and lazy. Phrases like, "she's so lovely" and "she's so beautiful" are used ad nauseum, to the point that it felt less like I was reading a book and more like I was reading the strange ramblings of a homicidal maniac. And that isn't a compliment. As hard as Koontz tries to make this AI seem weird or creepy, it just doesn't pay off. If anything, it felt like I was reading an instruction manual. He over-explains details that aren't necessary. For instance, our main heroine Susan's eating an ice cream sandwich, and he feels the need to explain that she's leaning over the sink. Okay, the average reader thinks, oh, okay, she's leaning over the sink so that when she's eating this sandwich, the drips and crumbs get caught in the sink and it's easier to clean up. We don't need to be told that. Koontz makes it a point to tell us she's doing this so that it catches the drips, and it's like, dude, I'm not fucking stupid. Okay? I'm not. I act stupid. I sound pretty fucking stupid, but I'm technically not. That's up for debate. Susan, the woman that this AI has fallen in love with, has a state-of-the-art computer security system, and Koontz feels the need to explain how it works in such detail that you'd think he's a salesman trying to hook you into a sale. Alright, so page 8 going into page 9. The cameras were of such high quality that the low landscape lighting was sufficient to ensure crisp, clear images, even in the depths of the night. She cycled through all 20 scenes in groups of 4 without spotting any trouble. Additional concealed cameras covered the interior of the house. They would make it possible to track an intruder if one ever managed to get inside. The extensive in-house cameras were also useful for maintaining a videotaped time-lapse record of the activities of the domestic staff and of the large number of guests, many of them strangers, who attended social events conducted for the benefits of various charities. The antiques, the art, the numerous collections of porcelains and art glass and silver were tempting to thieves. Larcenous souls could be found as easily among pampered society matrons as any other social strata. I feel like I'm being harassed into buying the same package as Susan, if that makes sense. If you go back here, page 7. Recently, technicians had enhanced the automated house package by the addition of a speech recognition module. She still preferred touch panel control of most functions, but sometimes the option of vocal command was convenient. It's like he's, as I said, like I'm being harassed. Like, check out this package, you should buy this package. No thanks. I'm more than capable of sleeping with a knife under my bed. Secondly, Koontz gets sloppy in the way that he writes. He loves the word had way more than I've ever seen in any other writer. Okay, at the bottom of page 15. Through the window, the grounds looked peaceful and deserted as they had seemed when she had surveyed them through the security cameras. The alarm had been false, or perhaps it had been only a sound in an unrecollected dream. I wouldn't care too much, but because of how flawed the rest of the book is, and how close all of these, I don't know, had clusters are to one another, it stands out bad. You might be asking, okay, well, how's the story? Fine. It could be better, obviously, but it's fine from a premise standpoint. As I've said already, a deranged AI hacks into Susan's home security system and holds her for hostage, with the intent of her helping him give birth to a new human race. Odd, yes, but then again, I've read books about sentient cars, teenagers lighting their school on fire after having pig blood dumped on them, Buicks being an interdimensional portal, and fairies that fall in love with secret agents. So, this isn't something that surprised me. Now, back to shitting all over this book. When I say it's clunky, I mean it's clunky. There's really no other word to explain it. I'm probably going to use that word often on this channel, and for those of you that love books, you know what I mean. You know what it's like to read a sentence, and there's not anything wrong with it per se, it just reads weird. Maybe it's my own personal preference, but this book is very difficult to read for me. When I'm not struggling to stay awake due to the slow, lethargic pacing, I can't help but feel like Koontz had one of those, one-a-day calendars. You know, where it's like, the word of the day is, and instead of writing one word, he changed it to sound more sophisticated. Like when you right-click on Microsoft Word and it gives you the synonym options. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did that. We do, of course, have our main female lead, which is Susan, who, despite having her past life of abuse at the hands of her father and husband exposition dumped on us, has no real development. She's just there. She exists. I will give Koontz credit that he does try to show how she has developed due to the abuse she sustained. She has a security system because she's clearly afraid of being alone. And towards the end, she's willing to fight back in order to get away from this creepy artificial intelligence that's holding her hostage. I've seen worse characters, but she's kind of boring. She didn't feel like a person to me. She was a character and nothing more, really. With all that said, let's recap. This book is difficult to read due to Koontz's choice of words, repetitive sentence usage, or the use of repetitive sentence usage. You know, I should really just stick with the script. I can't ad-lib save my ass. And it has very little character development. The AI he tries to make creepy is just annoying, and the pacing could put an insomniac to sleep. I should just end it here and bury this quivering corpse, right? Well, no. I'm gonna get a few more kicks in. First off, Susan was abused sexually by her father. Her father's name is Alfred. She names the security system in her home Alfred as a way to sort of stick it to him, you know, like, fuck you, old man, I'm ordering you around now. That much is said on page 12. Susan wondered if she had added this feature to the house computer solely because, unconsciously, she took pleasure from being able to issue orders to someone named Alfred, and from being obeyed by him. Okay, that makes sense, considering her history. So why the fuck did Koontz write this literally 5 pages prior? Surprisingly, she had chosen the name for the system without giving a thought to its significance. Only after she began using vocal commands did she grasp the irony of the name, and the dark implications of her unconscious choice. Why would you write that? So did she consciously choose Alfred for her name or not? Yeah, this is nitpicky, but why not? I'm just gonna nitpick. Of course she chose Alfred consciously. Listen, I don't mean to get serious here, but when someone abuses you in that way, their name means something. It will always mean something. Because when someone abuses you the way her father did, their name sticks with you, even if it belongs to someone else. That name will always mean something. So that paragraph on page 7 completely undermines what was said on page 12. Secondly, there's some really weird pedophilia undertones in this book. The AI constantly feels the need to compare Susan's sexuality and body to that of a child. Okay, page 13. She rose from the edge of the bed, trim as a teenager. Lithe, shapely, a vision. Trim as a teenager, huh? So, underdeveloped and kind of awkward. Okay, page 17. Her nudity was innocent, the act of a child breaking rules for the sheer fun of it, an attempt to get in touch with the deep, primitive, once shattered spirit and meld with it in order to be whole. Now this one you could say that he's trying to say, oh, well, she's acting innocent like a child, like she's carefree like a child. It's like, okay, then why the fuck did you have to compare a woman being naked to a child? Just, is anyone else getting that? That's just kind of creepy. And then page 32. Her eyes were not as haunting as Miss Rider's, but she revealed a childlike vulnerability, a winsomeness in spite of her powerful sexuality, which made me want to protect her from all cruelty and disappointment. Again, you could say that he's just trying to make her seem innocent, and what's innocent? Children are innocent. But, I'm sorry, when you're comparing a woman's sexuality to the innocence of a child, I just can't help but feel a little uncomfortable. There's also segments in the latter half of this book where he's, well, not the latter half, it's actually towards the beginning, and he keeps bringing it up throughout the book, that this AI is obsessing over movie stars like Gwyneth Paltrow and Winona Ryder. It's less like the AI is actually creepy, like Koontz is trying to make it seem, and more like the writer's getting out some really weird, repressed sexual feelings. There's also this cringeworthy scene where this computer tries to talk to Susan using the voice of Tom Hanks and Fozzie Bear. Another thing, okay? So it's one more little nitpicky thing, and I promise I'll stop bitching. Susan is forced to be the mother of this computer's eventual body, I guess. She's somehow impregnated through the computer, and she gives birth to a human, and then the human is put in a cryo tank to finish growing. This AI, this evil AI that's been talking to her through her security system, has a lackey that does most of the work for him because he obviously has no hands. And he tells her that his lackey, Shank, put the tank and system together in her basement while she was sleeping. He says that he had deactivated her security so she'd be none the wiser, so the alarms wouldn't go off. Okay, so this woman, who is so terrified to be alone that she has a state-of-the-art security system installed in her house, did not hear a stranger building a giant cryo tank in her basement? Even if she lives in a mansion, which she does, she would have heard that. It would have been fucking obvious. Also, this henchman of his is huge and not very light on his feet, so he would have been heard too. Whew, that was therapeutic. Okay, I need to calm down a little. I wanted to give this book an F, but I realized that's not enough. Of all the problems with Demon Seed, in my opinion, the biggest one is the ego behind it. I've watched some of Koontz's interviews, and he seems fine. He's a little weird, but most writers are. However, this book seeps ego. There's an afterword where he goes on this rant about how Hollywood has failed him and how intellectual critics don't know a damn thing, and it comes across as just pure, unfiltered ego. He thinks this book is something so revolutionary and new, and if he doesn't mean to come across that way, it's too bad. Because it does. I've had a headache writing this damn script, let alone reading the book. It's bad. Definitely the worst of the year so far, and I've read 2 Stephanie Meyer novels this year. With that said, you know how in school your teachers would tell you that with an F, at least you get some points? Yeah, not this time. Demon Seed gets a 0. Whew, I'm gonna need a beer after this. Stay tuned, I have another review coming up. I was initially gonna review The Host by Stephanie Meyer, but I have 2 others that I'm gonna review first. Stay tuned.